I'm muted. Sorry. Hello, everyone. Again, um, welcome to our weekly AI coding show where we gonna live code some AI features, which is really exciting. One of my most exciting parts of the week. So, as we start rolling out today's topic, first let us know where you're joining us from. Leave a comment, right, where you're watching from, um, and I'll let folks settle in, and we're going to be starting in about 1 minute. Today's topic is co-pilot chatbots, which is a really cool topic that I've discovered lately, and we're basically going to allow a chatbot to control things within our website, within our application, which is really cool because we can have this co-pilot assistant just pop up within our application, and we can use natural language to just interact and then perform stuff on our application, which is really cool. Um, so yeah, we're going to be using Node.js and Python today. So we're going to be using both of my favorite languages. And as I always mention, I hope there are going to be some errors today, right? Because we're live coding. So I hope there are going to be some red screens because I think really what developers can learn from errors is how to debug and how to observe application development. So it always teaches me about the technologies that I use. Errors teach me um, how to improve myself. So hopefully we're going to see some errors today, right? So if you want, leave a comment. How are you feeling today? How's your day going? And we're going to be starting in no time, right? So first I'm going to present my screen. And I'm gonna discuss about our use case and our application today. So I'm actually gonna use a workshop that I was working on. It's not yet public, but it's a really exciting one because it lets you build a MongoDB application step by step. In this case, we're gonna be building with, as I mentioned, Node.js and some Python. So this is like an event application. It's an event management application. Um, I call it Eventer, right? It allows us to store events and view them and query them with like text features and with geospatial queries, or just kind of register to an event, basically. Um, the way the application is built is pretty much a regular full stack application. We have our front end written in React. We have our main app.js and our main components, which are like an event form, which lets us build new events. There's an event item, and we're going to see all of those elements within the UI, right? We have a search bar. And on the back end, we have two files, right? We're gonna have the server.js, which will be basically our backend. All our API endpoints will be at this server.js file, and this is where the AI comes in. We're going to be using an open source framework called Chainlit that lets us build very nice and very easy chatbots and embed them in our application. And we're going to have Chainlit working with MongoDB and our website working with MongoDB. And this way we could connect them. And you're going to see that in a few minutes once we start um, developing, right? So I've already done all the regular, implementations like connecting to my database, right? Having my connect method, just a standard MongoDB code to connect to my MongoDB Atlas cluster, which I've created up front, and I grabbed my connection string. Really easy to do if you have never created an Atlas cluster before. Just a few clicks, and you get fully deployed in the cloud MongoDB cluster, very easy to connect to. I also whitelisted my IP address. Then I've implemented all the CRUD operations, right? And first I've loaded some data. So I've loaded my documents that describe the different events that I have. So like a summer festival. And the nice thing about MongoDB, and it's also something that this application shows, is, you know, that MongoDB documents can be polymorphic. That means that sometimes they will have, they'll have those elements that exist in one document and does not exist in another, right? So I've implemented all the CRUD, right? All the CRUD operations like update an event, delete an event, and you can see all of them here within my server.js, right? So let's go down a little bit. This is some mock data that's not used at the moment, but let's look at the endpoints. So just the regular get for all events, right? There's a specific ID fetch by, and other endpoints, very, very standard, you know, API kind of CRUD implementation. So I'm gonna start my backend, right? And the backend will be running on port 5000, and hopefully it will connect to my MongoDB database. Meanwhile, also I can show the collection that I have, which is events, and here are my documents, right? So as you can see, they're slightly different because some events have attendee lists and have like a maximum attendees. Some just doesn't have those elements. And another thing that I'm going to show you right now is I've also added embeddings. Embeddings, as you may already know, is a list of numbers that describe a specific element from that document. In this case, I've took the name of the event and used my embeddings. And in some demos, I just, I can embed the entire document. So I can take the entire document, turn it into a string, and embed that, and that helps me in my semantic search. So let's see. Okay, we got an error. Great. Connection timeout. Great. So that's a good one. Let's see. Let's see what could be the problem here. Boop, 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 boop. Maybe um, oh, maybe I've saved my, where's my database file? Let's see, database. Okay, so my database files loads my .env config, and why the low video quality? Okay, I don't know. I see the video fine, but let me try to improve my throughput. Second. I'm gonna try and improve my Wi-Fi connection. Maybe that's the reason for any low quality that you may be experiencing. Let me try and All right. Is that better now? Hopefully that's better now. Um, so I have my .env file and I have my connection string here. So that should be fine. Let me see. Here I'm connecting, I'm doing my connect to MongoDB method. So let's see if that's worked better. Okay, connected to MongoDB. So maybe I haven't saved the database file beforehand. All right. Well, maybe that was my connection. Maybe my connection problems with the Wi-Fi that made that database not connect. Okay, so now we're connected to MongoDB. And as you can see, I also implemented here a small OpenAI client. But before we touch base on that, let's go to this section that is called bonus AI vector search based chatbot. And we're going to actually implement that section today. So we're going to use Chainlit, right? So Chainlit is a very nice framework, but we'll need to have Python 3.11. They said 3.8, but I like to work with 3.11 to be honest. We also got our OpenAI key from the OpenAI website because we're going to be using OpenAI. And we've installed the prerequisites, which are mainly PyMongo and the Chainlit package itself. So Chainlit allows you to easily install it by just running pip install Chainlit, and then you can run Chainlit hello, which spins up this really simple AI bot. But it's very nice because you get all the UI and all the components already built in for conversational AI. And today specifically, we're going to be using the Copilot feature, which is really nice. So you can embed the same server that you implement with a regular Chainlit framework as this pop-up, right? We're used to that in some websites today, that you have a Copilot for yourself. And it's done pretty easy. It's actually spinning a server, a Chainlit server, and then within your website, you can hook it on the window itself. So it's pretty neat. So those lines of code actually creates that button within your application. So yeah, before further ado, let's spin up the application. Let's create our front end. All right, this is our Webpack. All right, great. Let's go to localhost 3000. This is the Inventor, right? It's a very simple application. Let me increase the font here. So we have this search bar that allows us to find, using full text search, find our documents, basically. We can add events, right? As I mentioned, we can search by geolocation and only show San Francisco-based elements, right? And as I mentioned, the MongoDB part here is, there's this notion of documents can have different elements, right? So this one has a pricing tag, and this one doesn't have it, right? But we still don't have this element, the chatbot, right? So we only have our CRUD and documents within the database. We do have all the functionality of registering, so I can say, my name is guest one, and I'll update this array of guests that I have within that document, right? So now let's basically enable our Chainlit bot. Right, so the first thing we'll need to do, right, and I'm going to open a new one. The first thing we need to do, and if we follow this tutorial, is we need to install the prerequisite. We need to set our OpenAI key within the .env file, which we already did. And now we need to start our Chainlit server, right? So we're gonna run this server. And this server is not connecting to MongoDB at the moment. It just spins up a simple Chainlit server, right? So I'm going to go back to my console and run it. Oh, where am I? It opened in, yeah. So let's remove this one. Let's go here into my backend folder and say open in terminal. And now let's run this file. Cool. So it spin up this simple AI UI for conversations, right? Let's look at the Chainlit server file. Here it is. This is the Chainlit server file, right? So what do we have here? So first of all, I've already imported PyMongo. I do it kind of automatically, and I've installed and imported my OpenAI client, right? So I created my client, and due to the .env file, it knows how to consume my OpenAI key. Now we're using the OpenAI integration within Chainlit. So we say just instrument OpenAI. We provide the default settings that we want. For now, we only specifying GPT-4o Mini, which is a great module released not long ago, but it's pretty good and it's pretty cheap. And temperature 0, which means basically don't be too creative. Just follow my lead, my context. I want the results to be kind of more strict. Some initial preparation I've done is I've created this MongoDB client to my MongoDB Atlas URI and pointed it to my collection. So now the collection, this name collection, have the collection events that we just saw our applications using. Now this is an interesting annotation. So on message means that when a user writes in a message, this function will be fired, right? So this is our actual interaction with the AI module. So here we have context attribute or parameter. Doesn't say much right now because it says generic knowledge, but it's like just a placeholder. We can get our history from our chat context and then append to our history the kind of question we want to ask the AI or we want to perform, right? So here, for example, we say with the relevant context, which is currently just saying generic knowledge, assist the user. Some typos here. Assist the user message this. If you don't see the details in context, please respond that you could not find any details for that query, right? So we just mentioning, if we don't find anything useful, don't invent stuff. And we're gonna also make sure that our first message is always some sort of system message, which says, "You're a helpful assistant. Please respond to user searches on events and their details," right? Then we concatenate those system message to the history with the new message and send it to our OpenAI client. Then we use CL, which is chainlit dot message, to print that out, right? So if we go back and we say hello, then the response is hello, how can I assist you today? If you have any specific question or need information about an event, feel free to ask, right? We just got a generic response, right? But if we're gonna ask what music events are there, right? Yeah, it'll say, that it just don't know any particular music events, right? Because we didn't hook any context to our application. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna be implementing our vector search, right? And this piece of code has already been placed in that server, the backend server JS. But basically, I have my embedding module, right? Increase that a little bit, which is OpenAI embeddings, and I'm using the text embeddings 3 small, and I have a function that wherever there's an embedding missing in the document, if you start up, if you see any documents without embedding, just please embed them, right? Please do the embedding that we saw. And I've added it into my connect function, right? So every time we connect, we kind of check if there's any elements that don't have embeddings. This is one part of the context retrieval. The second part is actually creating the vector search index. And as you can see, I have a vector search index already created on that collection. So I basically point my vector index, increase that as well, to do something like that. Maybe that'll improve the visibility a little bit. So I'm basically creating a vector index to get semantically relevant answers to my user queries that will be presented in the chat. So I've created my vector on path embedding. The number of dimensions is 1,536. And we have the constant similarity because we're mostly indexing text, small text elements. Right, so this index is already live and ready. And now I can go into my Chainlit server, right? I can save that one. And I can create my context function, right? So let me see if we have it here. Right. So my embedding, so my context function will need to get an embedding on that query, right? We also need to embed the query. This is the way we search the vector search, basically. So I'll have one function that that's basically getting called get embedding, and it receives a query, and it runs this query through the embedding module and returns the query vector. Space that a little bit. So now we'll have two steps, right? So one step will be getting an embedding, right? And the second step is getting a context, right? But we don't have this function yet. So let's build it. So we'll define get context. And yeah, autopilot already knows what I'm about to do. So we have our documents, and we're going to perform an aggregation on our collection, which is our events. And we're going to search the vector index for this query vector that we receive, right? That we just created one line before, line 54, created an embedding vector. And then we pass it to our context, and we're going to get our documents back. We want 20 candidates and give me 10 events, right? And very important thing is we project out the embedding array because it's not useful as context for the LLM, right? It's only useful for querying the vector search, basically. Right, cool. So now we added our context, and we have our context, and let's see what the chatbot will say now. So I'm gonna restart my Chainlit server. It's gonna create a new window. Let's ask it, what music festivals are there? Oh, there's a summer festival, which is an annual music festival scheduled for July 15th in New York. So yeah, so it is a music festival. I don't know why it said I could not find any details. Okay, maybe that's not detailed enough. But it did find my context, right? It did got the event that I wanted, right? It found this summer festival. Cool. So that's pretty interesting. That is enough for me now to place it in my website, so people can use it in my website. All right, so let's do that. So what do we need to do to implement that within our website, right? So as I mentioned before, we need to add this Copilot endpoint to our front end indexed HTML file, right? So we're gonna just copy that and we're gonna place it in our front end. So I'm gonna close my backend, go to my front end, go to public here, and basically override this body element, right? So our Chainlit server is running on localhost 8000. So if it was another server, we basically would place here another element, another address, sorry. All right, I'm saving this one, and now let's go and see how our application looks like, right? So we have the same UI, but here we have this nice, cool feature of having a chatbot appear within our website. Cool. So now when somebody, searches for a text specific conference, we will find those properties, right? So it already mentions, the max attendees and the attendee list. That's really cool, right? It didn't require a lot of effort from that end, right? We created the vector index, we vectorized our data, we created this context fetching using vector search query, and we just provided that to the LLM on message function, right? The on message got now a context to its query. So now it actually answers to our queries based on those events, right? And if we're gonna create a new event, right, and call it MongoDB AI show on Thursdays, right, and say uh, AI exciting show each Thursday. Now how do I do that? I'll always forget how to do the emojis. Okay, yeah. Exciting, I don't know. Yeah, something like that. Date of this one. Let's do, yeah, today, start time 6. And time, we don't know. Location, let's say we're in New York. We're going to use an attendee list, and the maximum amount of people is 1000. Okay, now we're going to run add event. Oop, we got an exception. Cool. All right, let's see what happened. We're going to go to our backend endpoint, and we're going to see what the exception was. Cannot convert circular structure to BSON, blah, 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 blah. And it happens on our create event element. All right, let's debug it for a few seconds. Let's go to our server.js. Let's go to the function that actually inserts the data. It will be a post, right? It will be a post. Create a new event. All All right, so okay, so we're trying to add an embedding to every inserted event. Let's see if this way we can it will be easier to create the embedding. Let's try this one. Right. Oh, it wiped out the what did I wrote? DB MongoDB. Yeah, show. Yeah, here it is. Oh, now it doesn't help me. Exciting show. Okay, exciting show. Let's try to. Yeah, it's today. I'm not gonna place any start and end time. Yeah, let's do another 1000 and click add event. No, still fails. Convert circle structure to BSON error creating. Okay, let's see if this is this embedding element that I've added. Let's remove this one and see if we can insert the event without right, MongoDB AI show, blah, blah, blah. Today, San Francisco, 1000. Add an event. Okay, this one worked. So it is definitely something with the embedding function. Right, let's try to debug it. Where is embed document? Embed document. This function gets the document name and document description. I see what happens here. So we already adding the embedding into the document. So we actually don't need this, but it's more like const events to insert. Right? And then this is the event that will go into the database, right? So we had an embedding already created within that document, and now we try to get all the document that we got back and point it into the embedding element of that document. So that was like a weird thing. So we're creating a total new parameter, total new variable. We're gonna get the document already with embeddings. And yeah, I found a bug in the workshop. Great. So let's save that. Let's see if that works. Let's do another event just quickly. So I want to get to the Copilot actually implementing things within our website. So let's do something. Let's call this event Pavel fixes code and blah, blah, blah. It happened today. Use it in dlist 1000 add event. And it worked from the UI perspective. Let's see the documents. Blah, blah, blah. It also have embedding. Great. So has embedding, and this one also have embedding, right? Because we were using the same the same parameter, the same pointer. So In both cases, we got embeddings. Oh, no. This one got embedded because every time we restart the server, we check if there's any documents without embeddings. And that's why this startup function found this document and just embedded it. All right, cool. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to make this chainlet element to actually ask me if I want to register to an event and register myself to that event, right? So I want to say I want to register to that event, and hopefully it will understand information currently that in this English. Okay. Yeah, but if I say my name is Pavel, right, it will, yeah, current attendees. But if I go here and I search for tech, right? Search for tech, this one, and search, right? It still has only Alice and Bob. So the LLM thought it would register, me because it wanted to be friendly, but it didn't actually register me, and we wanna avoid it because we want to have like this co-pilot experience. So we're gonna use the co-pilot feature, right? So we're gonna go back to our co-pilot, and this is the interesting thing. So a co-pilot can take um, a session and actually emit a front-end function from the place that the server element, like the server chat, was injected from. So basically here in this code, we're saying if the session to that server is now coming from Copilot, inject a function and say that the name of the function is test, and the arguments in here just passes the content of the query. And then we execute that function and we actually respond in the chat what this function result was. So that's pretty cool. And then on our front end side, we can add this listener. We can say add event listener, chainlit call function, and we can get those details and basically do a callback saying, we got it, right? We did something with it. And this is exactly the flow that I want to do. I want to, on my message, if I realize that the person wants to register to an event, I will basically trigger that register function. And on my front end, I will get the name of the person and the ID of the event that we're trying to register to. And I will basically execute the registration and emit back the result. Cool. Hopefully that's kind of understandable. If not, then I think as we code, this thing will become more and more understandable. So let's go and start implementing our on message element. So we're going to jump into the Chainlit server code, right? And this is our on message. So at the moment, it just gets a context from the database and gets the user message and creates this list of threads to OpenAI. What I want to do is I want to catch when a person actually tries to register to an event. And how can we do that, right? So the way to do it, so there's many ways probably, but one of the ways is adding this element of response format. So I can control the way the AI will respond with the response format. So it will not be text anymore, but it will be like a JSON object, right? So we can have now a JSON object that on one hand will have the respond, and also can have a list of possible actions that the user would like to trigger, right? So I already prepared, just because I didn't want to waste any time on that one. I already prepared the prompt. So the prompt that I've created is, again, the system prompt is: you are a helpful assistant. Please respond to user searches on events and their details in JSON, right? So I now added this in JSON. Respond as a bot in AI human response field. And then also consider the return format is AI human response, which is a string. And there's a new element added, which is action. So I want to have the type of the action that we want to execute and some info element that will have the event ID of the action that the user targeted to, right? So we actually kind of coding with words, right? We are creating this LLM prompt that will describe how I want the JSON response to be. And one other thing is currently I only have action options register added only when you certain a specific event was targeted for registration, right? So I also instructed to only follow that path only if we certain that the user wants to register. So I'm going to take this system prompt and I'm going to go to my server UI, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to replace this one, right? So this is my new system prompt. And now we also know that these response task choices dot message dot content will not actually have any text anymore, but it will have like a JSON element. So now we can say JSON response and we're going to use our JSON element, right? JSON.loads, and we're going to turn this this content into a real JSON. But we don't have our JSON library imported, so we're going to go here and do import JSON, right? And now we actually want to access the AI. What was the name of the AI human response, right? So we only want to look at the AI human response as a response from the chat, but we actually have an action as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to print this JSON response as well, so we can see what is returned from the LLM. All right, let's save this one. Let's go to our terminal, go to our Chainlit server, and restart it. All right. So first, let's do a hello and see if we get any errors. Okay, we got a response, which is already good. Let's see what was printed. All right. So as you can see, we got a JSON format back, right? We have AI human response, hello, I couldn't find any specific data, blah, 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 blah. And we have the action, right? But the action is an empty document because we realize there's no action created at this moment, right? So we just ignored it, right? We didn't do nothing with it yet. Now this is the place where we can start using the Copilot feature. All right, let's go here. Let's go here, And let's copy that element. And now we can say, all right, if context session client type is Copilot, right? Let's call this function register and pass, let's first pass our event ID to it, right? And this event ID is coming from JSON response dot action, add action, and at what did you call it? Info, right? Info, and then event ID. Right, so now we will actually call, we'll emit this function event called register to our front end function, which is yet to have. So we're gonna place one in our website right now. All right, so let's save this one, and now go back to our front end application. Front end. Yeah, let's go to src app.js. Right, so this is our app.js. This is the main file that runs our front end code. As you can see, it just calls the different backend services, right? The different API endpoints. But we're gonna hook here the code that's supposed to listen to our chatbot, right? So here we are listening to this chainlit call function, and we know that our name, the emits name that we're going to send is register, right? And now we can actually, get the args and print them, right? And then say, you tried to register to event with ID, and yeah, let's do here. I think it's called event ID is what we used in the Chainlit server. Blah, blah, blah. Chainlit, no. Chainlit. Let's go back to the server. It's actually here. So what our args is event ID. Okay, nice. So yeah, let's spin up this one and open up. Let's now also save our JS listener. And now let's go back to our web application, right? And yeah, let's just say, what music festivals are there? Ooh, we maybe errored out. Okay, cool. So we errored out because we didn't have action.info. Find any details for music festivals. Okay, let's ask about summer festival. Okay, I see what the problem is. So we are actually going and trying to access this element, the action, even if we might not have it. So let's do and yeah, and if the action type is registered, right? If it's not registered, then just don't go in this one. Okay, open up the server again, which is a little bit of an annoying thing. Yeah, let's open up a new chat. Let's say, any summer festivals errored out again. Oh, I see. Okay, let's do this one. Let's do if there's an action. Right. Let's do if there is an action. Okay. Okay, let's restart this one. Go here. Yeah, it's asking me again. Any summer festivals? Okay. Okay, so it did find welcome some festivals for you. Summer festival. Yeah, I messed up something with the let's read our with the relevant context, assist the user message. If you don't have any details in context, please respond. You can find a way. Okay, let's go to my already created. Let's see how I assist you to the user message context. If you don't see details. Okay, let's try this one. Let's try this prompt. Okay, let's try this prompt. Where's my content? This one. Okay. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay. All right, let's go to our React app. Let's do a new chat. And what festivals are there? Well, it returns a lot of events that I wouldn't. Summer festival. Okay. Okay. Can I register to the one called Summer Festival? Oh, cool. Okay, so you try to register to event with ID. This is the event ID. You can register to the Summer Festival, which is an annual. Okay, cool. So this message was actually delivered from our front end, right? Because this is the element that we specified here in the app.js. Where is it? Where is it? Where is our window? Okay, yeah, here. You try to register to event with ID, and we got the event ID. Cool. So all right, let's continue now to actually registering, right? So now we have the event ID. So now we can register, but we don't have the username, right? We don't have the name of the user that wants to connect. So we're going to use something called ask user, right? And the ask user one can take like a text input. So we can actually ask, something like, what is your name? Okay. So now we're gonna implement that, right? We can implement that. So I've already prepared that code because it was like a little bit more complex to code live. So here it is. So I'm doing the, I have my if, and then I'm gonna do, I have my if, and I'm gonna do the ask user, and I'm gonna ask, what is your name first? And then I'm gonna wait 30 seconds for a response. And then I'm gonna do like a copilot element that will call our register function and now add a name to it, right? So I'm gonna take this one and I'm gonna place it in my code. Boom, 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 here. All right, cool. So now I can place it somewhere here, right? So I'm gonna replace this if. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, here it's called JSON response. And here it's called Copilot. And now I can call register with a name. Cool. Okay. So now we're gonna also send the name. So now once we send out that to our front end, let's go to our front end. All right, the front end here, we can go to our listener. Where is our listener function? Was it on the top? No, I've hit the wrong place. App.js. All right, cool. All right, so now we get the ID from this args, right? So we can now do something like const get event, right? Which will be an async function that gets our event, right? And now we, oh yeah, I have a function for that, so I don't need this. And I'm gonna get the event ID, and I'm gonna get the event, and now I can do the event. Let's do await. Await. I'm gonna do this one async. Okay, so we're gonna do event dot what's the name of my array that says attendees, right? So I have attendees, and we're gonna push this. How did I call this element? How did I call this element that stores the name? Okay, name, right? So we will get a name back. So we're gonna go here, and we're gonna do our name. So we're gonna push to the attendees list our name, and now we're gonna say you're not tried, but you have registered to event with ID, blah, 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 blah. All right. Okay, so now here's the event ID, callback. All right. Yeah, we need to update that event. Yeah, let's do wait. All right, hopefully this code works. Let's also restart this one. Now let's try it. All right. Okay, so what tech events are there? Okay. That looks interesting. Let's do this one. Boom. Let's register to that conference. What is your name? Okay, cool. Name is Pash or Pavel. Oh, get again an error back. Get an error back from the server. Let's see. Server. Ba-ba-bum. Where did I use something wrong? Oh, here it is. Yeah, so I wanted to do JSON response here. All right, let's do it from the start. Okay. All right. Let's ask tech conference, right? What is your name for registration? Okay, let's see, Posh. Now I get a back. Now I get an error on the front end. So it's something with my front end code that does not compile. Okay, great. So we got back to our app.js. So it's something within this element, right? Within the get event or something around that sort. So yeah. So cannot read property of undefined push. Okay. So it is something on my prompts and the way I kind of direct the different elements. But it's really cool that one chatbot, right, which is really easy to use, can interact with our front end and our application. So I'm going to create a more coherent and solved project, and I'm going to place it within the comments of this video. And hopefully we learned stuff together, and we had some fun coding an AI chatbot. And thank you everyone for joining.